Mr. Bartell, next witness.
Yeah, so I'm gonna call Stephanie Plain.
Testimony
Okay.
from you, so we need to have you raise your right hand, be sworn in, then we'll proceed.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
Ms. Plain, can you state your full name for the record, spelling your last?
Stephanie Lynn Plain, Plane.
And do you know a Kelsey Cronkite?
I do.
And how do you know her?
She is my granddaughter.
And when's the last time you've seen her?
In April.
Um, do you know a Chloe Cronkite?
I do.
And how do you know her?
She is my bonus great granddaughter through marriage.
Okay. And you know Ori Cronkite?
I do.
And who is he to you?
He is my granddaughter's husband, so my step grandson.
And let me ask, have you in the past seen Kelsey engage with Chloe?
Many times.
Okay. Have you ever seen her badmouth Taylor Morgan in front of the minor child?
Not Taylor, no.
Okay. How would you indicate that Kelsey's demeanor towards, I mean, let me rephrase that. Have you ever seen her scream at Chloe?
Yes, several times.
Okay. Um, the best you could tell, at least the reaction from Chloe. How did Chloe take that?
It appeared that it scared her. Anytime
And
children are yelled at, it scares them.
and let me, without saying specifically what Kelsey said, um, what was the reason why she was screaming at Chloe?
Kelsey has a short temper, and if Chloe maybe did something that displeased Kelsey, if she lied to her or if she picked on her brother, Kelsey loses her temper easily.
And you had seen that more than one time.
Yes, I have.
And did you ever confront Kelsey with regards to that?
No,
And why not?
because of her short temper. And as a grandparent, I'm a great grandparent now. It has never been beneficial to interrupt her behavior or give her an opinion as a grandmother who has raised two children, that I was always afraid that what has happened since April would happen. And that is, I can no longer see her children or Chloe.
So, so is it fair to say that you would walk on eggshells with Kelsey for fear of not being able to see your grandchildren?
Absolutely. It's always been that way.
Is
If
that
I
I,
would
because
object.
she,
if I,
How is this relevant to the grandparenting time case now?
Okay, Mr. Bartell, how's it relevant?
well, we just got off testimony from Dr. Howard, where he was talking about the dynamics between a parent and a step parent, including yelling and screaming and physical violence, and how that can affect a child and what is going on here. This fits perfectly in what we're talking about.
The response, Ms. Reed?
But how is Stephanie's relationship with Kelsey relevant to the grandparenting time case before?
It is foundation, Your Honor, to indicate what she was doing, the interaction with Kelsey, and how Kelsey has always been around her and the children.
I'll allow for a limited purpose. We don't need to go into it too much, but obviously because we have to look at best interest, the court will consider it.
Ms. Plain, is it fair to say that you'd walk on eggshells around Kelsey?
Often, yes.
Um, did it appear that Kelsey would control the situation or all situations with the children?
Most always, because she was 90% parenting with all 3 children and previously all 4 children.
Okay. And when you say she was the one parenting, was Ori around much?
Or he worked long hours all summer, spring, fall. He had a very busy job, and he was the only working person in the family.
And did you see Kelsey control Chloe?
Oh yes, certainly.
In which ways would you see her control Chloe?
But just like any parent, she was in charge.
Did there ever come a point when Kelsey told you that Chloe was lying to her all the time?
Yes.
And when was that?
In December of 23, around the holidays. It was after her and Ori came home from their week trip to Florida, the week of Thanksgiving. So it was after that. It was in early to mid-December.
I guess
And
how did that even, oh, go ahead.
I was at their home, and she was confiding in me that Chloe was lying to her all the time, and it was becoming a problem. And as well, she complained about Uriah, that he was becoming very aggressive, and so that's when it was.
And when did your relationship with Kelsey begin to sour?
In late January of this year.
Okay. And why was that?
She was planning their end of February trip to Florida, and
I'm gonna
asked
object,
me,
Your Honor. I still don't see why a relationship souring is relevant to grandparenting time.
How is that,
I guess-
Mr. Buckow?
Your Honor, I guess I can rephrase it and get to the point. I
Okay,
guess.
thank you.
Yep. Yep. Ms. Plain, did there ever come a time that Kelsey wanted to borrow your car and put the children in danger?
yes.
Okay, could you describe that situation to the court?
She asked if I could pick them up at the airport and take them to their hotel. And after I thought about it, at first I said, of course I will. And then after I thought about it, after we had hung up, I realized that my Subaru Forester does not fit 6 people. It only fits 5 people, and without car seats in the only back seat, with only 2 adults in the front you can't fit another adult and 3 children in my back seat, which to include Chloe, who was 5 years old at the time. So I texted her. Kelsey gets so angry so quickly that I can't have a calm conversation. And so as walking on eggshells, like I said, I texted her. She constantly prefers texting to speaking. And I said, Kelsey, I texted her, I said, I realized you're going to have to get a larger vehicle. 6 of us, one, two,
I'm going to
yeah.
object again, Your Honor. I don't see how any of this is relevant to grandparenting time.
Okay, Mr. Bartel?
Well, I mean, the testimony overwhelming majority of the people, including family on the other side, has indicated that Kelsey takes care of all of the children, including Chloe. We have heard her anger and whatever else, and this goes to the best interest factors because Mr. Cronkite has no issue with his wife putting the children at risk. So it still goes to the best interest factors that the court may have to consider.
Okay, well, I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
So when I told Kelsey that she was going to have to get a larger vehicle because of the tragedy that happened in 2022 that caused the death of our first great-grandchild, her first child, I said that I wouldn't drive 10 minutes with those children not safe in the car. And she became angry with me and started texting me, telling me, don't call me. You're
I'm going to
stressing me
object to
out.
hearsay.
Sustained.
But she became angry, Miss Plain.
Pardon me?
She became angry.
Well, by text, she became angry, yes.
And then she didn't talk to you after that.
No,
Okay.
not,
One other
not.
thing. Oh. When was the last time you had an encounter with Mr. Cronkite?
Please repeat that.
When was the last time you had an encounter with Mr. Cronkite?
Oh, I had an encounter with Ori Cronkite on a Sunday afternoon on a freeway, a very busy freeway on a Sunday after church. And I drove to a nursery. They had a big sale on plants. And my sister-in-law had asked me to look for some for her. And as I left the nursery and I turned north onto M66, I noticed immediately in my rear view mirror a huge white oversized truck on my tail. I mean, right almost up against my bike rack that's attached to my vehicle. And upon looking, I realized that was Ori Cronkite's truck. I thought it was. And his truck stayed on my tail. And I just drove maybe 50 miles an hour at the speed limit. And after about maybe a minute of him being right on my tail, no distance between us, he pulled into the oncoming lane, sped up ahead of me, in front of me, and then he slammed on his brakes. If I hadn't been in good control of my car, I would have slammed into the back of his truck. And then he stayed in my front bumper. And after 30, 45 seconds of that, I tried to pull into the passing lane to maybe get around him. And then I saw him pointing at his cell phone with his window rolled down. So I recognized exactly who it was. and I tried to pull around him, and he swerved his truck into my vehicle, and I had to swerve over into the southbound lane and almost into the ditch, at which I dropped back behind Ori's truck, and he stayed right in front of me, and then he was pointing for me, appearing that he wanted me to pull over to the side of the road. I had no idea what Ori would do, so I just stayed behind him. By that time, I dialed 911 and got a dispatcher. She told me to pull off to the next
No, you
road.
can't say hearsay.
And so we got to near Station 66, the restaurant.
Okay. So you had this encounter where he had almost run you off the road. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you have not had any contact with him since then?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Reed, any questions?
I have no questions for this witness.
Okay. Ms. Plain, that will conclude your testimony. You're free to go. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Mr. Bartel, next witness.
No further witnesses, Your Honor. We rest.
Okay. Just making some notes. Ms. Reed, I note, not that it's late, but we're coming up on the noon hour. I didn't know if you had planned to have witnesses in this morning or start this afternoon or what. So what?
Allison Bartha still around. I'd like to call her so she can go.
Yeah,
If she might
she's
have
still-
patients she needs to do.
Yes, she's still here. Let me bring
Okay, we'll go then. I just didn't know what you had planned.
And just so I understand, Your Honor, I anticipate she's going to be a long one. So should we just do the direct and then I guess we can see where it goes. It may go for a while.
Let's see where it goes. If we have to go into the noon hour for a little bit, we can do that.
All right.
Please unmute.
Take some
Miss.
testimony. So if you would raise your right hand, we'll have you sworn in, then we'll proceed.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Go ahead, Ms. Bree.
Miss Bartha, can you state and spell your last name?
Allison Bartha, B as in boy, A-R-T-H-A.
And where do you work?
Grace Health Family Practice in Battle Creek.
And what is your title there?
I am a behavioral health consultant.
And how long have you been at Grace Health?
I have been employed at Grace Health for 9 years. I've been in the behavioral health consultant role for about 4.
And what does a behavioral health consultant do?
We see and treat mental health clients.
You treat children?
I do.
Do you have any sort of licenses?
I have a license in social work through the state of Michigan.
Do you attend any classes to maintain that license?
We do continuing education.
Do you possess any degrees?
I have my associates, my bachelor's, and my master's.
And what are those in?
My associate's is in human services, and my bachelor's and master's is in social work.
Do you specialize in any particular social work field?
I particularly see like PTSD, anxiety, depression. I keep my schedule open for kids and adults. I wouldn't say that I have like a narrow specialization or credentialed in a specific area or field.
Okay, and do you know a Chloe Cronkite?
I do.
And were you seeing Chloe Cronkite for counseling purposes?
I was.
And how was that arranged?
She was put on my schedule.
Were you specifically requested?
I believe so. Yeah.
And do you have previous contact with the Cronkite family?
Do I have previous
Are you seeing anybody else with the Cronkite family?
As far as treatment,
Yes.
I believe that would be a violation of my HIPAA to expose my caseloads.
And Ms. Reed, what's your response?
I can ask a different question.
Okay, thank you.
How long were you treating Chloe?
I have here.
Your Honor, I'm going to object if she's looking at notes. She's got to go off her memory. And there's a process to go through otherwise.
Well, maybe if you need to, Ms. Reed, to get her to refresh her memory.
Do you know if it was the beginning of this year?
I would say, yeah, beginning of this year, end of last year. If I had to guess, yeah.
And do you know how long you were treating Chloe for?
It was quite a few months. It was an extended period of time, yeah.
And what was the reason for counseling?
I believe she was brought to me due to a change in routine. Was routinely seeing her grandparents and talking to her mom, and it kind of stopped. So she was brought to me due to change of routine and some behavioral outbursts or some anxiety that we were working on.
And what tools and techniques are being explored in counseling to help deal with the change and her anxiety?
I focus a lot on
Your
hands-on
Honor,
activities.
if I can, now that we've gotten into the now we're testifying about seeing Chloe, I'm going to object to her testimony. I'm going to say that because we already have testimony from Miss Morgan that this was unilaterally done. This court has the inherent authority to strike any testimony or evidence or anything that was obtained through an unlawful purpose. And therefore, this court has the ability to decide whether or not it will allow this type of testimony. I say that because the parent's decision-making authority, what we talked about earlier with Miss Morgan, is that she did not agree to this counseling. And like I said, this court has the inherent authority to strike anything that was wrongfully obtained, um, uh, whether it's a pleading or evidence in any particular matter.
Okay. Ms. Reed, what's your response?
Well, it's our position, Your Honor, that Miss Morgan agreed to this counseling initially, even though now she says she didn't. This counseling went on for a period of 9 months. There was no unlawful purpose for this counseling, and this counselor can provide information to the court regarding the best interest of the child and if there is a substantial risk of harm to this child.
Okay. Mr. Bartel, does that address your objection?
Not really. Just saying that a person can address different factors isn't really on point. With regards to what this court has in front of it is testimony from Taylor Morgan herself, who indicated I did not agree to this counselor seeing my child. I guess the inquiry could be of this counselor as to whether or not she received a waiver and consent from both parents, which I will submit to the court. This counselor, in fact, did not.
Well, why don't Mr. Bartel, I'll give you an opportunity to voir dire the witness, and then we can see what happens.
Sure. Ms. Bartha, did you know who the mother of Chloe is?
Yes.
And how'd you get that information?
Through Chloe.
Okay. Did you get any information from the father?
No.
Okay. And did you get any information from Chloe's stepmother?
No.
Okay. And so you had someone come. What is your process at Grace Health to ensure that there has been authorization given for a child to see you?
They will schedule an appointment with our receptionist, and the receptionist do and file all of that paperwork. And then she's placed on my schedule.
Okay, and does your facility have forms for both parents to sign to consent to the treatment?
I don't know that I can speak on that because I haven't been trained as far as like the paperwork process that has to be filled out when a new patient is being established in our facility.
Okay. And are you aware of your facility ever getting a consent from Miss Morgan to treat Chloe?
Yeah, I don't know that I can speak on that either.
And it was your understanding that Miss Morgan and Mr. Cronkite were not together, correct?
Yeah, yes, I did know that.
Okay. And was it your understanding that they may not have agreed on various things and have been involved in the court system before with regards to custody with Chloe?
That was not my understanding, no.
But you did not inquire either about that. Is that correct?
Not unless it was brought up in sessions with Chloe that her mom was incarcerated. We would talk about some phone calls that she would have.
Okay. But you never inquired from the father. Is that correct?
No,
Is there a reason why you wouldn't have any conversations with the father?
that's out of my job duties at Grace Health to inquire information about that. That would have already been done through the initial intake process when they scheduled the appointment.
And do you have a particular supervisor at your place that
I do.
supervises your work?
I do.
And who is that?
Dr. McLeod.
I guess, Your Honor, I would still renew my objection. There's no information here that had indicated that there was a waiver and consent for such counseling to occur with Chloe in this particular matter. We had only one side bringing Chloe in for particular counseling. There is joint legal custody. Mr. Cronkite has a history of unilaterally doing things, and he is fully aware of how this process works. He's not new to the court system, and the court obviously understands that given the extensive history in this particular matter.
Okay. Ms. Reed, what's your response?
I still do not see how this was for an unlawful purpose. The child needed counseling. It was placed in counseling, and this witness can offer the court information that is up to date, at least until counseling was stopped as of a couple months ago.
If I can respond, Your Honor,
Go ahead.
they just admitted essentially that we got the information. It was for a lawful purpose to seek counseling, and guess what? It was Mr. Cronkite who filed a motion the day after, I think it was our last hearing or the hearing before, asking for counseling to continue. He knows the process, and they're still not addressing that he knows the process. And legal custody means that both parents agree on what's going to happen with regards to important decision making concerning the minor child, which clearly includes mental health treatment.
Okay. Any response, Ms. Reed?
We did file motions to continue counseling, but custody and parenting time issues are a separate and distinct issue. Rather, you can't combine them with grandparenting time. If we're having custody and parenting time issues, then you bring that in the custody case under a parenting time issue or the custody issue or whatever it may be, because Ms. Morgan is in prison. This witness is here to testify about this child's best interest and substantial risk of harm regarding grandparenting time. These are two different issues.
Well, maybe two different issues, Ms. Reed, but obviously Ms. Morgan does have joint legal custody. And with joint legal custody comes all sorts of, again, responsibilities and privileges, if you would, and that's to make important decisions concerning the child's well-being, their health, and all sorts of other things. It's spelled out usually in the custody order. And in this particular case, Mr. Conkright has physical custody, but the parties share legal custody. And in this case, the defendant has testified that she did not agree to the counseling. She wouldn't agree to the counseling. In fact, she fought that, and it was fought when it came before me. I discontinued the counseling because it would not be consented to. Today, Ms. Bartha's sought there's going to be testimony concerning the child, and we don't have a waiver signed by Ms. Morgan or consent for the counseling or consent for her to testify as to those issues, which she has a right as a parent to do. So the court does believe that, again, there, at least as it relates to that joint legal custody, that she maintains and retains those rights. And there's been no waiver of consent to that. So the court is going to bar the testimony of Ms. Bartha at this particular time, unless there should be a waiver or consent at some point in the future. So, Ms. Bartha, I guess I will conclude your testimony. You're free to go.
Thank you.
Next witness, Ms. Reed.
My next witness is going to be Ari, and that's going to be another long one, so I would not object if the court wants to break or continue.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we break, and then we'll come back at why don't we come back at start at 1 o'clock?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Off with you, Ms. Reed, and you were going to call your client. Are you still going to call your client?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Conkright, we need to have you raise your right hand, be sworn in, then we'll proceed.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. You can put your hand down now, sir. Go ahead, Ms. Reed, when you're ready.
Can you state and spell your natural name for the record, please?
Ronkhite.
And then can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. And you are the father of Chloe?
Yes, I am.
And how old is she?
She is 6 years old.
Okay. When Chloe was born, did you and Miss Morgan live together?
Yes.
And where did you live?
We lived at Jamie and Carlina's house.
And how long did you live there?
We lived there for until Chloe was about 6 months old, 6, 7 months old. And then we moved into our house on Lacey Ave.
Okay. And during that 6-month period, I believe Miss Morgan and Miss Polito testified that they were primarily taking care of Chloe at night and providing her care. Is that true?
No.
What was occurring during that time?
We would split it on and off. I would take care of Chloe too, as Mr. Morgan stated in his testimony.
So you're equally taking care of her?
Yes.
What was the grandparents' involvement at that time?
Just a typical grandparent. They would help with Chloe if we needed help. Like if we had plans to do something, they would watch her. Or if I was at work and Taylor was at work, then either my mom and dad would watch Chloe or Jamie and Carlina would.
And when you moved to Lacey Ave when she was approximately 6 months old, how long did you live at Lacey Ave together?
Until she was like 1 year and 2 months, I think.
And what was the grandparents' involvement then?
Just the same. They would take Chloe just the same involvement.
How often were they taking Chloe?
I would say usually on the weekends and probably every other weekend, maybe sometimes a reoccurring weekend, and then not usually on the weeknights.
And then when she was A little over 1 year old. Where did you move to?
I moved back in with my parents at the time.
Okay, and what were you doing for parenting time?
We did every other week on, week off.
And how long did that happen for?
For a couple months until Taylor was incarcerated.
And Taylor lived with her parents the entire time?
As I know of, yes.
Okay. When you say a couple months, can you try and put a number on it?
I would say until Chloe was a year and 6 months, maybe.
Okay. And how long was Taylor incarcerated for?
Well, it's been on. She's been in and out of jail. I don't know exactly an exact time, but from I mean, really, for the last 4 years, she's been in and out of jail, and then she's been in prison for the last 2 or year and a half.
Okay. So from when Chloe was about 1.5, going forward, what has the grandparents' involvement been and how often do they see Chloe?
Well, for a little while, we let her go over there, like every Wednesday, and then she would stay the night a couple times a week or a couple times on the weekend, and then it slowly diminished and just went down to a Wednesday night, and then it diminished to nothing because of the stuff I found out.
When did it start doing every Wednesday?
That was after the when the parenting time got ordered, and after school started.
Do you remember what year that was?
2022.
So 2022, they started doing every Wednesday,
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
and that was what were they doing for weekend parenting time?
That it was just if we needed them to watch Chloe, or like if we had plans, or if they asked to watch Chloe, if they asked for her to come over, then she would go over there.
Is this when you're saying weekends, are you talking before Taylor was incarcerated or after?
Uh, well, before and after for a short period of time.
When was the last time the grandparents did alternating weekends?
2022, right? I'm gonna say 20. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 2022, towards the end of 2022.
So after 2022 and into last year, how often did they exercise overnight parenting time per week?
Uh, just any if they would ask for Chloe, it was never a set time. It was just periodically.
Would it be like, because we're trying to figure out how much contact Chloe's had with the grandparent. So when you
Right.
say whenever they would ask for it, was it every weekend? Was it every other weekend? Was it one weekend a month?
I mean, I would say sometimes it would be 2 weekends a month, but most of the time 1 weekend a month, and then like maybe a sporadic day in between or something.
Okay, and when was the last time they had grandparenting time?
The last time she was over there was after Thanksgiving, right after Thanksgiving.
So when the grandparents and the witnesses testify that she was over there 2, 3, even 4 nights per week consistently, is that true? Ari, can you hear me?
I can now. Everything froze up for a second.
Did you hear my question?
Yeah, yep. I said absolutely not.
Okay. During the time that you lived with the grandparents, were they providing you and Taylor with assistance?
Yeah, they did. They provided us with assistance when we lived there.
Okay, and after you moved to Lacey Avenue?
Uh, I mean, just household. Like they helped us buy stuff for the house and stuff like that.
Okay, when you and Taylor separated, were they still providing care and help for Chloe?
Yeah, but just like offered care. It wasn't nothing that I needed them to do or I couldn't do myself. It was because they offered.
Okay. Have they ever given you substantial sums of money?
No. Only money they ever gave me was the money that Jamie paid me when I worked for him for working.
It has been alleged that your wife is not a good role model for the Chloe to be around. Do you believe that's true?
Absolutely not.
Can you describe your wife's relationship with Chloe?
They have a great relationship. They, I mean, that they just have a typical. I mean, Chloe knows that she's her stepmother, but they have a typical mother-daughter bond because she's been the mother in Chloe's life since Taylor's been absent.
Has Chloe ever shown signs that she's afraid of your wife?
Absolutely not.
How do you discipline the kids in your house?
Put them in timeout.
Do you ever use spankings or like corporal punishment?
No, I have not. I have not with Chloe. I have with my sons a couple times, but not with Chloe. No,
Does Kelsey ever use corporal punishment?
no, no. They go and time out and stand in the corner.
Have you ever heard Kelsey scream at the kids?
No, I mean not scream at them. I mean and Kelsey will raise their voice if they're doing something bad or that they're not supposed to do. We'll tell them to stop. I mean, we don't scream at them.
Has there ever been threats of violence towards the kids?
Absolutely not.
Have CPS ever been involved with you?
No,
Do you know if CPS has ever been involved with Kelsey?
no, they have not.
Has law enforcement ever been called regarding concerns of abuse or neglect?
No.
Why do you not agree to grandparenting time?
Because Chloe came home one day and asked me if I
I'm gonna
would
object to hearsay.
Okay, sustained. Mr. Concrete, you can't say what
All
Chloe
right.
said or any other third party.
All right. Um, uh, just trying to think of a better way to word it. But no, I don't agree to it because she or man, I guess I don't know how to word it without saying that she asked me.
Did she ask you something or did she tell you something?
She asked me. Well, and she asked me and she told me.
And based on what she said, is that based on your decision not to agree to grandparenting time?
Yes.
At this time, Your Honor, I'd request that my client state what the child told them, not for the truth of the matter asserted, but for the effect on the listener.
Your Honor,
Mr.
that is exactly what they're trying to do. They are trying to prove hearsay, which is the truth of the matter asserted. And this is just an end around essentially the hearsay rule. Otherwise, that would always be the standard, Your Honor, as to this is what I did when I heard this. That would be every hearsay.
Well, that's exactly what effect on the listener is I heard this and this is my reaction to what I heard. We're not saying what it said is true.
Well, Miss Reed, I don't see as any way that that would get in, and not with the idea that that's what was said and that it's true, or at least that it was true as to what she said. So unless you can state specifically an exception to the hearsay rule, which this falls into, I will sustain the objection.
All right, can you explain, are you concerned regarding the grandparents' environment they're providing for Chloe?
Yes, most definitely.
Why?
Because she would act anxious when she would come home. Anytime she would come home, she would be kind of standoffish at first, and uh and it's hard to say without saying what she told me, I guess. I don't
Does she want to go see her grandparents?
know. She has told me she
Objection,
has
your objection to hearsay, Your Honor. And
Okay,
the
Ms. Reed?
defendant-
We're not asking for a specific statement. He can explain her reactions that she gives when he asks her if she wants to go see the grandparents. I didn't ask for, does Chloe outright say no, she doesn't want to go?
Well, I
Well,
think
there's
that's the intent of it, and that's what would come in. So I'll sustain it at this point unless you can establish it otherwise.
Ari, do the grandparents allege in their motion that Chloe looks to them for a stable factor in her life and wishes to continue to have contact? Is that true?
I
objection,
didn't
there's some
hear
lack
that.
of foundation.
I didn't hear the question.
Mr. Bartel, lack of foundation, it's in your pleadings.
Well, I understand, but it was a direct question to him without laying any foundation as to his belief as to that. She didn't talk about, do you see, by way of example, do you see the interaction between the child and the grandparents and whatever else? So that's what I mean by lack of foundation.
Yeah, well, I'll overrule it, let him ask, and you can delve into that on cross-examination.
Ari, the question was, the grandparents allege in their motion that Chloe looks to them as a stable factor in her life and wishes to continue to have contact. Is that true?
No.
And how long has it been since Chloe has seen the grandparents?
It's been a little over 10 months now.
If Chloe wanted to see the grandparents, would you allow it?
Yes.
I want to talk to my daughter.
Do you have concerns regarding the grandparents' home?
What was that? I didn't hear that.
Do you have concerns regarding the grandparents' home?
Yes.
What are your concerns?
The environment there.
What about the environment?
There's always constantly arguing going on between Jamie and Carlina.
I'm gonna object to lack of foundation again. He's not even talking about if he's even present.
Well, I guess I'll assume that, but lay a foundation, Miss Reed.
Have you been present when Jamie and Carlene are arguing?
Yes.
Are children present?
Yes.
Has Chloe been present?
No, Chloe wasn't present when I witnessed them arguing, no.
Other kids were?
Just their Tyler, their son. Which one that was when he was younger also. which is part of the reason me and Taylor moved out of the house, is because Jamie and Carlina would always argue.
Okay. There's been testimony from a couple of witnesses that there's issues during exchanges of parenting time, and that Chloe's upset and does not want to come home to you. Is that true?
No, I've never witnessed her upset to want to come home with me.
How often do you participate in exchanges?
50-50. I would mainly do the picking up, and Kelsey would usually do the dropping off because I would be at work, but I would do most of the pickups.
Was she ever hesitant to go to the grandparents?
Actually, one time she was hesitant. Last time I went to go bring her to Gloria, and I was on my way to bring her there, and she told me her stomach was upset. And
Objection, Your Honor.
all right, I'm sorry. All
Sustained.
right. Yep, I'm sorry. But she ended up not going there because her stomach was upset, and she was
Do you
nervous.
remember when that was?
Yeah, it was right around the Thanksgiving time, right around Thanksgiving, right after she hadn't went to Jamie and Carlina's.
And do the grandparents last year, were they buying stuff for Chloe?
Yeah, I mean stuff for their house. I mean they didn't buy stuff for me, for Chloe.
Did you ever request them buy stuff for you for Chloe?
No. Or yes,
You know,
yeah, we did request for them to buy snow pants one time, yes.
okay. Who takes care of Chloe when she's sick?
Me and my wife.
Have the grandparents ever cared for Chloe when she was sick?
Yeah, they have.
Do you remember when that was?
Um I don't remember a specific date, no.
Was she spending a like significant period of time with them when she was sick?
No.
Did you ever request that Carlina or Jamie buy dirt bike gear for Chloe?
Absolutely not. No. Actually my wife Kelsey, her mom and stepdad bought all the dirt bike gear because he owns the motorcycle shop. And
And this is not the first time that there's been a period of time where Chloe has not seen the grandparents. Is that correct?
yes.
Do you recall when it was the first time?
um I don't recall the exact date, no.
Do you remember what year?
Yeah, it was 2022, I'm pretty sure. Or 20, yeah, I'm pretty sure 2022, end of 23.
And how long did they go with no contact with Chloe during that time?
It was about 7 months.
Okay. And Miss Toledo testified that the reason for no contact was she got in trouble for letting Chloe talk to her mom on the phone and taking her shopping. Is that true?
Not for taking her shopping, but how do I word it? They told Chloe to lie to me and that I was
Objection,
smoking.
Your Honor, as that is speculation.
Okay, Ms. Reed?
I can follow up with my client to see if it's speculation or not and ask questions.
Okay, follow up and lay a foundation.
Ari, were you present during phone calls with Taylor and Chloe?
I not at first, no. I had no idea about them at first.
And did you particularly care that they were occurring?
No, I just would have liked to have known.
And did Carlina ever talk to you about phone calls with mom?
No,
Would you prevent those phone calls with mom?
no.
So why did the contact stop without saying what was said by anybody for the 7 months?
Because I was being lied to
By who?
by Carlina and my daughter and Jamie
What was Carlina lying about?
about having Chloe talk to Taylor on the phone.
And what about Chloe talking to Taylor on the phone would mean no grandparenting time?
Well, if I would, like I said, if I would have known that she was talking to them, I would have had no problem with it. It was just the fact that they were hiding it from me.
Was Chloe upset about talking to her mom?
She was not upset about talking to her mom, upset about what she thought I would do if I knew she was talking to her
I'm
mom.
gonna object to lack of foundation and speculation and trying to get around the hearsay rule here.
Yeah, I'll sustain it unless a proper foundation is laid.
But you're willing to facilitate phone calls between Chloe and her mom, correct?
Yes, absolutely. I was trying to, and we had the phone calls going until they abruptly stopped, until Miss Morgan stopped calling my phone.
Do you know when she stopped calling your phone?
It was like around March of this year.
How often was mom having phone calls with Chloe?
It was sporadic. It would be sometimes twice a week or once a week.
How are those phone calls facilitated? When I ask that, I mean, do you call mom or does mom have to call you?
She has to call us.
Did you guys ever set up a time for that?
No, we didn't set up like an exact time. No, she would just call us sporadically. I mean, a couple times we did. Like, she would call if I was at work and I wasn't with Chloe. Then she would call back a couple hours later when I got home.
Are you guys video calling or is it voice calling?
Oh, it's just voice call.
Are you able to send JPay messages to mom?
Yeah, yeah.
Have you received any JPay messages from mom?
No,
When was the last message you sent to mom?
it was around the same time, around March. Well, and then actually we just had sent one just Thursday or Friday to try and line up days for Chloe to talk to her.
Have you received
I
a
don't-
response back?
No, I haven't yet. No,
Never got no message.
I don't know how long it takes her to get messages or not.
Have you tried to call mom at the prison?
I missed her phone call one time and tried to call it back, and it just directed me to like the front desk at the prison or whatever, and they just told me that I have to receive the phone call. I can't call her.
I'm gonna object to hearsay, Your Honor.
Okay, I don't think it's that important, so
Yeah. Okay.
Are you willing to facilitate a relationship between Chloe and mom?
Yes,
Do you care that Chloe has pictures of her mom up in her room?
no,
Does Chloe have pictures of her mom at your house?
yeah, she does.
It's been alleged that you stopped grandparenting time because the grandparents were spoiling Chloe and buying her too much stuff. Is that true?
No,
Has Chloe's behavior changed in any way since she stopped seeing her grandparents?
If anything, she's gotten better. If anything, her behavior's improved. She's not anxious, doesn't feel like she has to lie to me. She's doing dance class. She's doing super well in school. Um, I mean, she's all around exceptional. She's doing great.
She doesn't appear depressed.
No,
Is she sad?
no,
Is she at all withdrawn?
I didn't hear that last part.
Is she withdrawn? Is she like kind of closed in on herself?
No,
It's been alleged that Chloe's not doing well in your and your wife's care. Is that true?
absolutely not. She's doing amazing.
Are you able to financially support her?
100%, yes.
Do you buy her the things she wants and needs?
Yes,
Are you able to take her on fun activities?
most definitely. We go to we go camping all the time. We go to Tennessee, we go to Florida, we just went to New York. I mean we do all types of vacations.
Oh, it's been alleged that Chloe's been physically and emotionally abused by Kelsey. Is that true?
Absolutely not. If she would not be my wife.
In the grandparents' affidavit, it states that Kelsey's threatened to break Chloe's arm. Is that true?
Absolutely not.
Is there any history of domestic violence in your house?
No.
Do you have a criminal history?
No.
Are there any verbal altercations between you and Kelsey?
We had one verbal altercation like 2 years ago, and that was what was brought up by Jamie and Carlina when they came and picked Chloe up the one time. That's the only verbal altercation or anything like that has happened.
Any physical altercations?
No.
Do you believe that the grandparents will foster a relationship between you and your daughter?
No.
And why is that?
Because they've done nothing but slander my name around town for the last 10 months.
Do you believe they will honor and respect your wishes and requests as Chloe's father and parent?
No, they specifically told me they would not.
What did they say?
When I went over and confronted Jamie and Carlina um, about the issues I had that were brought up by Chloe to me, I went over and confronted them about them. And it turned into a physical altercation, and they specifically told me that nobody will tell them what they can and can't do with their granddaughter.
When you say it got physical, what happened?
Jamie actually grabbed a hold of my shirt and was pushing me around, and then I ended up leaving.
Jamie Morgan testified that during this confrontation, you were making disparaging comments about Taylor. Is that true?
No,
It's been alleged that you're doing drugs. Is that true?
no.
Did you ever do drugs?
Yes, I did. I had a period where I did take Vicodin for a little while, but I stopped doing that. I haven't
And where
taken a
did
Vicodin in over a little over a year now.
where did you get the Vicodin from?
From Don Plain and Jamie Morgan and Carlina. Carlina does people's hair and takes them for payment.
Objection is the lack of foundation and speculation. Is he present when this happens?
I'll
I
sustain
have
it.
been, yes.
I'll sustain it unless you lay a foundation.
Ari, were you present when those transactions occurred of this pills for services?
Yes, I was.
Do you know when that occurred?
Well, I don't know an exact date, but yeah, it was at her salon that's underneath the Bolero bowling lanes.
It's been alleged or insinuated that you are coercing Chloe into making allegations or having certain beliefs. Is that true?
No,
Are you talking to her about this case?
no.
Did you talk to her about,
The only time I talked to her about it was when she had to go and talk to the judge.
did you tell her what to say to judge?
No, no. I just told her that she had to go and talk to somebody. He had some questions to ask her, and that was it.
Do you make disparaging comments about the grandparents to Chloe?
No,
Do you make disparaging comments about Taylor to Chloe?
no,
Does Kelsey make disparaging comments about the grandparents around Chloe?
no,
Does she make disparaging comments about Taylor to Chloe?
no.
It's been testified to by a couple witnesses that you made comments praising the grandparents and how great they are and that how close they are to Chloe. Is that true?
No,
There was some testimony from Elisa Toledo about a recital. Do you recall that?
yes,
And at that recital, she claims that you were holding Chloe like a baby with your hand on her head, kind of preventing her from moving or looking around anywhere. Is that true?
no. She was actually walking next to me. I wasn't even holding her. She was walking on her own 2 feet next to me.
Um, can you explain what happened at this recital?
Yeah, well, they claimed that I was blocking their view when they were in the right section all the way up front in the front row. And I was in the same section at first as them, behind them. And then when Chloe came out for her recital, which was all the way at the end, I went up to the front of the middle section. So there's no way I was blocking their view. Me and my son went to the front of the middle section, and I just was videotaping Chloe. I wasn't yelling anything. I waved at her and hi sissy, and just to let her know that I was there, and videotaped it. And then after her recital was over, we walked out back and got Chloe, and we're walking up, and then that's when Alyssa and Andrea just were, I don't know, they were just like walking next to us. I never even really exchanged words with them.
Okay. And I believe Alyssa, or maybe it was Andrea, testified to there was supposed to be some sort of meeting with Andrea and Gloria, possibly in November, for some sort of time with Chloe.
In November. Yeah, that's when I was going to bring Chloe over there, and then she told me or then she complained about having an upset stomach and didn't want to go. So I didn't bring her over there because she was nervous and anxious.
Are you trying to exclude Taylor's family from seeing Chloe?
No,
Have they reached out to you to ask to see Chloe?
no.
When was the last time you had contact with Tyler?
The last time I had contact with Tyler was actually him driving past one of my jobs on East Avenue, shouting, yelling stuff at me. I don't know exactly what he was saying, but
And when was that?
Just a couple weeks, like just 2 weeks ago. It was like 3 days before our first court date.
When was the last time you had contact with Andrea?
At the dance recital.
And that was with Alyssa too?
Yep.
Has Gloria tried to reach out to you?
No, not since then. No,
When you say since then, since the dance recital or November?
since November.
So Stephanie Plain testified that you tried to essentially run her off the road. Do you recall hearing that testimony today?
Yes, I do.
Is that true?
Absolutely not.
Do you recall this incident?
Yeah, I didn't even know that. So I was never behind Stephanie. I was driving in front of her, and I did not know it was her on M66. And I was driving, and a deer ran out in front of me. I slammed the brakes, and then I just kept driving. And then like an hour and a half went by, and I got a phone call from a sheriff asking me about the incident. And as I told him, I never even knew that Stephanie was behind me. And a deer ran out in front of me. I slammed my brakes, and that was it. I never intentionally slammed my brakes because it was her. Or I simply slammed the brakes because there was a deer running in front of me.
How did you find out it was Stephanie behind you?
Because the sheriff called me.
But you didn't see her?
No, I didn't know that it was her behind me until the sheriff called me and asked me about the situation. That's when he informed me it was Stephanie that was behind me.
Regarding counseling and Chloe, have you tried to have conversations with Taylor about counseling?
Yes.
And when did those conversations happen?
They happened when I was having the phone calls with Taylor and Chloe when I was it was, I want to say, in February. I was on the phone with her and spoke to her about Chloe being in counseling, going to counseling, and she had no problem with it. She agreed to it, and I yes, I never knew that she had a problem with it until they abruptly stopped it.
If Taylor had told you she had an issue with counseling, would you have been able to work it out with Taylor?
Yeah, I'm sure we could have figured something out.
Were you ever
But
told
she never
why
informed me
Taylor
that
didn't? Go ahead.
she never informed me that she had a problem.
Did she ever tell you why she didn't agree with Allison Bartha?
No.
Nudge up to hearsay.
Agreed?
It's an opposing party statement because Miss Morgan's a party to the case and it's a conversation between the parents.
Okay.
Well, actually, I'll take just for whatever it's worth, Your Honor. Actually, Miss Reed had argued before that Taylor was not a party to this. This is between the grandparents and the plaintiff. So I'm just telling you what she had said before. So it's
Well,
up
Miss
for the courthouse.
Reed can say a lot of things, but the fact is she is a party. So
Sorry, she never told you why she disagreed with Allison?
No.
Is it difficult to communicate with mom because she's in prison?
Very.
Do you know how long it takes for like JPay messages to reach Miss Morgan?
I have no clue. No.
Are you currently participating in counseling with Chloe?
I'm gonna be enrolling her with the lady that you guys recommended to me.
Have you
But
contacted Margaret Hunter?
yeah, I left her a message. I haven't received a phone call back yet.
Do you know if Miss Hunter is able to facilitate Taylor being in on those messages or those counseling sessions?
I don't know.
I have no further questions.
Okay. Mr. Bartel.
Yes. Isn't it true that you worked for Jamie Morgan for a couple different periods of time?
Yes.
Isn't it true you'd go over to his house a lot before November 2023?
Yes. Yeah, his shop was at his house too.
Okay. And isn't it true that Chloe would go over there a lot as well?
Yeah, as much as I stated before, yes.
Isn't it true you called Jamie your best friend in 2023?
What's that?
Isn't it true you called Jamie your best friend in 2023?
I didn't call him my best friend, no. But I was good friends with him, yes. We did used to share a great relationship.
Isn't it true that he has tried to reach out to you on multiple occasions over the last 3 months and you've not returned his call?
He has not tried calling me, no.
Isn't it true he has sent you text messages trying to talk
Uh,
to
he
you?
sent, he sent me one text message, but it was after they already filed all the court stuff, so I just didn't respond. Yes, he did
So
though.
you admit you weren't trying to work on any issues that you perceived to be out there.
No, I didn't say I wasn't going to work on any issues. I just didn't respond.
Well, by not responding, you're not willing to work on issues. If you were willing to work on issues, you would respond back, correct?
Yeah, I just wasn't ready at the time. Yeah.
Oh, when was that?
Uh, just right after November. It was like a week after everything happened. He
So
tried
that was the
reaching out
only
to me.
that was the only time he reached out to you.
That's the only time I ever received anything from him. Yes.
So what about Carlina? Isn't it true she has tried to reach out to you?
Absolutely
During
not.
well, let me finish. Isn't it true she has tried to reach out to you via text or calls in the last 9 months?
No, it's not true. I have no missed calls, no text messages from Carlina. Not one.
Isn't it true in February of 2024, Gloria, that you were referring to, actually was texting with you? You had indicated that she could see Chloe, and then you were not allowing her to see Chloe. Is that correct?
Yes, that's when I told you that Chloe had an upset stomach and was anxious and nervous and told me she did not want to go.
Well, where was it? February of 24 or November of 23?
It was right after. Uh, I don't remember the exact date, honestly.
Are you on drugs today?
No, sir.
No drugs whatsoever.
No, sir.
Isn't it true that you lied to the court taking cocaine before?
No, I didn't lie to the court.
Isn't it true back on November 18th, 2019, this court ordered that you be tested and you tested positive for cocaine?
Yes,
And isn't it true in your pleadings before that day, and including your former counsel, you said that you did not do cocaine?
I may have said that. Yes,
Okay, so you lied to the court.
in 2019, I might have. Yeah,
Yeah. So you lied to the court back in 2019, but now you're saying you might have. Okay, so you admit that you had told the court through your pleadings that you signed and with your counsel that you didn't take cocaine, correct? Correct?
I didn't hear. I didn't hear the end of that. The screen froze up.
Isn't it true that through your counsel and you had also signed under oath that you did not do cocaine, correct? In 2019?
In 2018, correct. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So you lied to the court, not maybe.
I said yes, correct.
Okay. And so how can we believe you today when you have lied to the court before?
Well, because I'm a different person. I'm not the same person I was in 2019.
Okay. So when we can verify it, you may lie, but other times you may not.
No.
Okay. Do you allow Chloe to see your parents?
Yes.
Do you allow them to babysit?
Yes.
And do you allow your daughter to spend nights with your parents?
On occasion, yes.
And school functions?
And what?
And school functions?
What about them?
That they go to school functions? You allow that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you were to die, would you want to have your child see your parents at all?
How's that? I don't.
I would object.
Yeah.
I don't see how that's relevant.
What does
Well,
that have to do with anything?
Hold on. Mr. Bartel?
wait. Your Honor, I think it is relevant. What we're dealing with is grandparenting time. What we're dealing with is his denial, and I'm trying to figure out what he really believes in the grandparent grandchild relationship. And so I think it
Well,
is relevant.
I think you can ask that that was kind of a convoluted hypothetical if he was to die. So
Well, I don't know how else. Oh, I'm sorry.
maybe you can again phrase it differently and get to where you want to go.
Mr. Cronkite, you would want that relationship to continue, correct?
If it was a healthy relationship,
So my question is, you would want that to continue, correct?
if it was a healthy relationship, it depends on the circumstances.
And if there was some squabbles between you and your parents, would you try to work on those differences so that your parents could see Chloe?
It just depends on the circumstance, I guess.
Isn't it true that you had asked that Carlina Toledo and Jamie Morgan be the supervisor to Taylor Morgan when the last order in 2021 was entered?
Yes, I did.
Isn't it true you argued in court that they were stable and appropriate to be supervisors with regards to Chloe?
Yeah, at that time.
Isn't it true that you had actually argued to the court that you believed that they were the ones, in fact, taking care of Chloe, and it was not Taylor Morgan taking care of Chloe when it was her parenting time? I'm sorry, I think you froze up, so I didn't hear
I
anything.
froze up. I didn't hear anything.
Okay, I'll try to re-ask that. Isn't it true that you had asked the court and actually made the argument to the court that you believed that it was Carlina Toledo and Jamie Morgan, in fact, taking care of Chloe when it was Taylor Morgan's parenting time, Chloe?
Yes.
And in fact, haven't you made the argument to the court in multiple hearings that previous to this one, that you believe it was Carlina Toledo and Jamie Morgan taking care of, or primarily taking care of Chloe, and it wasn't Taylor Morgan, right?
Yeah, it was the same question you just asked, but yeah.
Well, for her whole entire life, correct?
What do you mean for her whole entire life?
Let me rephrase that. You believed that it was, in fact, Carlina Toledo and Jamie Morgan taking care of Chloe her entire life whenever Chloe was over at their house, and it wasn't Taylor.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, you talked about how your current wife does not physically hit Chloe or yell or scream at her, correct?
Well, I said like we'll yell at them to like if they're doing something wrong. Say one of them has a Yeah, if something is they're doing something wrong, then yeah, but no, we don't physically punish them. No, we put them in timeout.
Okay, so but my question is that you had made that comment, correct?
Yes.
You are the sole earner in your relationship, your marriage with your wife, correct?
What was that?
You're the sole earner in your family, correct?
My wife works also
Where does she work?
at Firekeepers Casino.
When did she start working there?
A few months ago, about six
Okay,
months ago.
6 months ago?
Yeah,
But before then, you were the sole earner, correct?
correct.
And isn't it true that you were at work between your commuting and actual work more than 10 hours a day?
That varied. It's never the same. It always varies.
And wasn't it true?
It could be 4 hours a day, or it could be 10, 12 hours a day. It just depends.
But isn't it true that your wife was the one taking care of all the children, including Chloe?
While I was at work, yes.
So you can't say what was happening at home because you weren't there, correct?
Yeah, I guess. Yep.
Okay. So you can't say for sure what is for sure going on behind the closed doors, such as if Chloe is hit when you are away at work, correct?
Well, actually, I do because I got cameras in my house, so I can see everything that goes on in my house. So
And that,
I do see everything that goes on in the house.
and
Has
when did you get
audio
those,
and everything.
when did you get those cameras?
I've had them since I've lived here.
And how long have you lived there?
I've lived here for a little over 3 weeks now.
Okay, so before that 3 weeks, did you have
Yeah, in
cameras
my
at your other place?
previous house, I had the same cameras. Yes, so
Okay,
I've
so
had
when
them
did,
for the course of 4 or 5 years. Same
okay,
cameras inside the house.
okay, and is that recording cameras?
Yeah, yep. They're security cameras. They record every corner of my house, and they have audio.
Every room of your house.
Yeah, I mean, not my kids' room, but my kitchen, my living room, my front entryway, my outside entryway, my back entryway. Yeah.
And isn't it true though, Kelsey would take Chloe to various appointments, or
What was that again? I didn't hear the end of that.
isn't it true you would take that Kelsey would take Chloe to various appointments outside of the house?
Oh yeah, yeah. We both would.
But sometimes she would by herself.
Uh, yeah, maybe once or twice, but a lot of times I have to go because I'm Chloe's father.
Isn't it true that you just moved to a different school district?
Yes.
And and it isn't
I'm
true you
gonna
didn't get,
object how this is relevant to grandparenting time.
Your Honor, it goes to, he talks about he follows rules and everything. And he unilaterally takes the kid to another school district when there's joint legal custody. It goes with best interest factors, Your Honor.
Well, I'll overrule the objection. You can answer.
Yeah, I did put her into a new school district, but I have no way of communicating with Taylor. And honestly, I guess that I didn't know that I had to tell Taylor that she was going to a different school with her being in prison. But I guess I was wrongly informed. I thought I only had to notify Taylor if I moved more than 90 miles away.
Isn't it true that when you had communication with Taylor before in January or February of this year, you had told her you wanted sole legal custody so you could take her to move her around where you wanted, including school districts?
No, that's not true. No.
Okay. So why did you need sole legal custody?
Because I asked her for sole legal custody just because it's hard communicating everything when she's in prison, and
But for what reason?
for that reason, what I just
Okay.
said.
But for what reason? Like changing school districts, medical, what
No,
reason?
no, just because it's hard to communicate with her and like appointments and stuff, and stuff that she has to, like any doctor's appointments or like she had to have surgery on her feet. Like it's hard to communicate and get certain things signed when Taylor's in prison.
What did you need signed in prison?
When Chloe was getting her feet surgery.
And when was that?
It was end of 2022.
Isn't it true you had filed a motion to resume counseling that you had filed with this court?
Yes.
Did you review the initial final judgment regarding custody, parenting time, and child support?
Yes.
So on page 2, when it said both parties agree to cooperate in all of the child's educational needs, and they further agree to see that all homework and special projects are considered with regular time periods set aside so that they can successfully accomplish. You see in there that it talks about that you guys will agree to child's educational needs, right? You remember
Yeah.
reading that?
Yep. Yep.
And do you remember under paragraph 5, it says the parties will consult together and not decide unilaterally concerning major decisions involving health, education, and welfare of the child. And if the parties cannot agree, the parties will either participate in friend of the court mediation or set the matter for hearing so the court may decide. Do you remember that?
Yep.
So what's not clear about that says that you had to consult with Miss Morgan regarding major decisions involving education?
I've it's been a while since I read that, and I honestly I just forgot about that part, I guess, and it's hard for me to communicate with Taylor on stuff like that when she's in prison.
So you said that you sent Miss Morgan a JPEG last Thursday or Friday, correct?
Just Thursday.
Okay, and before then was back in February or March of 2024?
Yes.
Okay, so prior to December of 2023, how many times did you send a JPEG to Taylor Morgan?
I'd say 5 or 6 times.
Isn't it true that you have sent her 0 before November of 2023?
But yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I had no way to. I didn't know how to get a hold of her. Nobody ever informed me of how to get a hold of her.
So who did you reach out to try to find out how to get a hold of her?
After I confronted Jamie and Carlina about them having Chloe talk to him, they informed me how I could do it.
Oh, so they informed you while you were having your argument and how to do it, right?
No, that wasn't an argument. We were talking.
Okay. Isn't it true that, as I understand, you said that majority of the time, Kelsey would drop off Chloe at Carlina's and Jamie's, correct?
Yeah, she would do most of the dropping off. I would do most of the picking up.
Well, I guess let me get clarification on that. I guess I had in my notes that you said about 50-50 you would pick up.
Well, no, that's what I was saying. Like drop off and pick up is 50-50, not just the pickup.
How long would you stay
Yeah.
over there when you pick up?
Not long. It just would depend.
On average, how long would you stay over there?
Not long at all.
Okay. So when Taylor Morgan was in jail, would you ever go visit her at the jail with Chloe?
No.
did you try to set up anything for Chloe to have communication or visitations with Taylor at the jail?
No.
And when I say the jail, I mean the one in Battle Creek, just for information. Isn't it true that, well, let me ask you this. What grade is Chloe in right now?
First grade.
And she went to Penfield schools prior, right?
Yep.
And would she have much homework, I guess, in kindergarten?
No.
Just so I understand, maybe things have changed since I went to school. Kindergarten, is there a grade system?
Not really in kindergarten. More so now in first grade there is.
When you say more or so, I guess help me understand that.
Like they actually get graded on like stuff that they do now and stuff. They get like actual like report cards and stuff.
Okay, so she's already got report cards this year?
No, not this year.
And so when did she start school?
She started at the end of September.
So she's been on end of September, so she just started.
Yeah, she just started a little over a month ago.
So you mean the end of August?
Or yeah,
Are you
yeah. I can't.
are you sure you're not on drugs?
I'm 100%
Object, Your Honor.
positive too. I'm just not very good with dates.
Are you willing to do a hair follicle test at the expense of my clients?
If they do one, yeah.
Are you willing to do a hair follicle test at the expense of my clients?
If they do one,
That's not
no, then no. If they're
No,
not gonna do
okay.
one, no.
Isn't it true back in 2022, your wife got into a serious car crash
Yep.
and unfortunately her son passed away?
Yeah, our son passed away. Yep.
Isn't it true she was drinking and driving on that date?
No,
She has a felony on her record, correct?
correct.
Do you accept responsibility, or let me rephrase that. Do you believe that your wife has accepted responsibility for her role in the death of your child?
Absolutely.
So she admits she did wrongdoing.
Not wrongdoing. No, it was an accident.
Okay.
She
But now
accepts
she
that
has,
she was the driver of the car when our son died. Yes, she accepts that.
okay, but she now has a felony on the record, but she doesn't accept that she was at fault.
Sure. I guess I don't understand what you're saying there, but yeah, sure.
Well, as I understand, you said that she accepts that it was
It was an accident. Yes.
an accident, but she didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Okay. But she still has a felony on her record if she did nothing wrong, correct?
Yeah, she took a plea deal. Yeah.
Okay. So she really has not accepted her role in that accident.
Subject to relevance
What
to
does that have to do
grandparenting
with this?
time.
I don't understand. I don't
Mr.
understand what
Your
Concrete,
Honor,
Mr. Concrete, your attorney can object and address those things. You can't.
Well, it just upsets me when he's talking about my
Mr.
dead son.
Concrete,
That's
I
ridiculous.
said you cannot. Okay, no exceptions, no argument, etc. Your attorney will do that. Go ahead, Miss Reed.
I don't see how this is relevant to grandparenting time.
How is it, Mr.
Well,
Barton?
well, it kind of goes to the best interest factors. We're dealing with at least testimony that we have Kelsey Cronkite is so much time involved and he's not willing to accept her role. She's not willing to accept her role in a serious accident. I think it goes to the best interest factors.
Okay, well, I think he's answered that, so let's move on.
Okay. Mr. Cronkite, isn't it true that you have maligned and said horrible things about Taylor Morgan to Carlina and Jamie?
No, no. Wait,
Isn't
what?
it true?
The screen keeps freezing up on me. I keep getting pieces of what you're saying.
Isn't it true that you have maligned and said horrible things about Taylor Morgan to Carlina and Jamie?
No.
You have not said one bad thing about her.
I've said that the stuff that she's done and is putting Chloe through with her being gone is not right, but I didn't like downgrade her as a person. No,
Then why every time in your pleadings you have to bring up that she's in prison and just say she's a druggie?
I never said that she was a druggie.
Well, you're inferring it every time you file a pleading with the court. You think the court doesn't remember the previous pleadings? You have to keep bringing it up.
Well, I just feel as if it's not right. Yeah.
And you talk about my client supposedly attacking you, and you have no issue attacking everyone else. Isn't that correct?
I'm not attacking anyone.
Isn't it true you maligned me in text messages to my clients? Talking about Attorney Bartel.
I would
I don't
object how
recall
that's
none.
relevant at all.
How is it relevant, Mr. Bartel?
I'll move on, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just being a smart ass.
Your Honor, he's
Mr. Concrete, no editorial comment. You're just there to answer questions. That's it.
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
What efforts have you made in the last 9 or 10 months to have Taylor Morgan's family have interaction with Chloe?
No, I haven't.
What role, if anything, do you take in this? Do you think you have any fault at all?
Any fault for what?
Breakdown of the relationship between Chloe and the grandparents, or your relationship with the grandparents?
No, not at all.
You're
I
perfect,
simply
right?
asked them. Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Did you say I'm perfect? I never. No, I'm not perfect. I was still responding to your answer. Nobody's perfect.
So this counselor that you said you reached out to, when did you reach out to this counselor and leave a message?
It was the same day I sent Taylor a JPay. It was this Thursday or Friday.
This past Thursday or Friday?
Yes.
And what kind of message did you leave? Was it voicemail or an email?
It was a voicemail just stating my name and my daughter's name, Chloe, and saying that I got referred to her as to put Chloe in counseling.
Isn't it true that you had previously raved about both Carlina and Jamie about how great of grandparents they were with Chloe?
I'm going to
No.
object. It was asked and answered.
No, not that
Well,
way.
it was asked in a little bit different way, Miss Reed. I understand, but I don't think he's ever asked about being raving about what grandparents they were. So I'll allow it. You can answer it, sir.
Oh, yeah, no.
Isn't it true at the end of November 2023, when there was a breakdown of the relationship between you and the grandparents, that you went over to their place and you started to yell at Carlina?
Was not yelling. I was
Isn't it
simply talking.
Isn't it true that you told her that she was just buying Chloe's love by taking her shopping all the time and taking her to Chuck E. Cheese?
No, that's not true.
Isn't it true that you told Carlina, you're making my life difficult with my wife at home because I have to hear about this all of the time?
No, it's not true.
So did you used to have a relationship with Cindy and Don Plain?
Yes.
How close of a relationship did you have with them?
I mean, not the closest, just I'd see him every once in a while, and as my yeah, I mean, not the closest of relationship, no, but we had a relationship, yes.
So you wouldn't go over for the family dinners? Is that correct?
Yeah, we would.
You would
Yeah,
routinely?
yeah.
How often was that?
I went almost every time Kelsey and my daughter and all my other kids went. There's maybe 3 or 4 times I didn't go.
And how often was that?
Uh, I would say once to twice a month.
And so you would take your daughter over there, correct?
Yes,
And so they got to know Chloe, is that correct?
yes.
Now, you had indicated that there's fighting between Jamie and Carlina. You said Tyler would be present, is that correct?
Yes.
What time period are we talking about?
I'm talking all the way from when I first got with Taylor until I stopped going over to Jamie and Carlina's in November. So like 2018 till now.
Isn't it true back in February of 2024, you had told Gloria Coffey that you were going to call the cops on her if she asked to see Chloe anymore?
I just told her if she didn't stop blowing up my phone that yes, I would.
And she wasn't threatening you, correct?
No, no.
She was just asking to see Chloe, correct?
Yeah, to an extent.
And
And then
isn't
she
it
would,
true? And isn't it true? She said, I don't get this. You said I could see Chloe, and now you're not letting me to see Chloe.
yeah, that's because I was gonna bring Chloe over there the one day, and then Chloe complained that she was feeling anxious
I mean,
and
you can't state what Chloe
all right,
said.
all right. Well, my daughter told me she was feeling anxious and didn't want to go
Objection, Your Honor.
over.
Sustained. You can't say what the child said.
Okay, so I just
Okay,
want to be
she
clear with you,
complained.
Mr.
Can I say she complained? She complained about an upset stomach. Or is that all right?
So I just want to be also clear. End of November, beginning of December was the last time that you took Chloe over to see Carlina and Jamie and the whole family, correct?
Right.
I'm talking about February of 2024. So, and you said you admitted that Gloria was sending you texts in February of 2024,
Yes.
correct? And she was seeking to see her great granddaughter, correct?
Correct.
And you agreed to it originally in February of 2024.
I did.
Okay. And you never explained in any text to Gloria why you were stopping her from seeing Chloe, correct?
Correct.
Isn't it true that Gloria would put money into your account for you to buy stuff?
Absolutely not.
Isn't it true that she would give you money at times?
Absolutely not. She's never gave me any money.
Did she ever buy stuff for you and your children?
Yeah, they did go school shopping one time. Yep.
Are you willing to facilitate a relationship between Chloe and the grandparents?
To an extent, yes.
But you admit that you have not made any effort in the last 9 months, correct?
Correct.
No further questions.
Just a minute. Miss Reed, any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Ori, when you say you're willing to facilitate a relationship between Chloe and the grandparents to an extent, what do you mean by that?
If they can respect me, as Chloe's father and not ask my daughter to lie to me.
I'm going to object, Your Honor, that the lack of foundation and speculation.
Miss Reed?
I don't believe this is speculation. This is like ground rules of what he would agree to, but he can go facilitating any sort of grandparenting time.
Okay, I'll let him testify as to that as his ground rules, so to speak.
All right, can you continue?
Yeah. So yeah, if they don't have my daughter lie to me, yes, I would facilitate it. And if they apologize for everything that they've put me through, and if they realize what they have done is wrong, and then yeah, something we could figure something out. Yeah.
And do you believe a counselor would be beneficial for that?
It could be.
With everything that's happened, would you be willing to sit down with a counselor with Carlina and Jamie?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's something I would consider. Yeah. Right now it's kind of hard to say yes. Uh, yeah, I mean, I would, yes, if if the circumstances were right.
Okay. You're gonna have a brief breakout room with my client?
Yes.
Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
again, no, I'm going to object to that, Your Honor. It's no different in court if we have someone on the stand or a deposition, and she's just going to say, "Come off the witness stand and let me go talk to you now."
Okay. Well, I understand, but there's times that the parties, as they could, even if we're in court, they could ask for a brief recess, and so I'm going to allow it. Miss Reed will put you and Mr. Conkright in a breakout room. How long do you need, Miss Reed?
Probably 5 minutes.
Okay. Why don't we do this? Why don't we just take a recess? Why don't we take it for 10 minutes and then we'll be back?
Okay, let me pause the rec.
There's an agreement that there will be grandparenting time in this matter, and it will occur in this fashion. There will be reintegration counseling sessions with a Margaret Hunter, and grandparents will be responsible for that reintegration counseling payment. However, Mr. Cronkite has to first submit it to his insurance, and whatever is not picked up by that, then my clients will be on the hook for those counseling sessions. Reintegration is to occur as follows: that no later than 3 months after the first session, grandparents will receive every other weekend grandparenting time from either after school, or if school is not in session, then 6 p.m. until the following Sunday at 6 p.m. They will also receive 2 non-consecutive weeks in the summer. And they will also receive a 4-hour period during the Christmas week, but they have to give 2 weeks notice for the 4-hour period that they wish to have. During the reintegration period, there will be no grandparenting time until after the 3rd session with Margaret Hunter. Then Margaret Hunter will make the decision as to what that looks like between after the 3rd session and no later than 3 months after counseling started, as to what that grandparenting time would be for the reintegration. My grandparents or whoever is exercising or going to have the time with Chloe will have to pick her up. And then there is currently, we had a discussion with Dr. Haugen, and he's going to get us a list of things that he believes should be worked on during the counseling sessions, such as no secrets, communication, privacy, and that will be provided to Margaret Hunter. Also, there is a motion set for Monday, and it is my understanding that it is a motion for attorney's fees and costs by the plaintiff, and that will be withdrawn with regards to this matter.
Okay, was that withdrawn with prejudice?
Yes, Judge.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Is that the full agreement, Mr. Bartel?
I believe so. I guess if the other side thinks I missed something.
Okay, Ms. Reed, is that the full agreement?
I believe so, but I believe we were kind of integrating the temporary order that Your Honor entered at the beginning of this matter. And in that temporary order, there was a notice period for the summer break parenting time. And I think that we should just incorporate that same notice period into this so we know which weeks we're talking about, and my client has notice for that.
Okay. Any problem with that, Mr. Bartel, using the temporary order, the notice provision for the summer?
I think that was a 30-day period before you're going to exercise the uninterrupted. I think that is appropriate.
Okay. Good. With that, why don't we have the parties, Ms. Toledo and Mr. Concrete, you can unmute yourself. We're going to inquire of you if that's your understanding of the agreement and if you accept it. So, Mr. Bartel, because you went first, I'll let you go first with Ms. Toledo.
Okay. I guess we got to get her unmuted.
Well, she has to unmute it.
Oh,
We
Miss Toledo, did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
Did you hear the full agreement that was placed on the record here?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
This is
Oh, I'm sorry, Aaron. Yes.
No,
But-
that's fine.
I'll tell you, after today, he can have my job though. So,
Oh, I bet.
I'll take your robe if it fits.
okay, it will. Go ahead, Mr. Bartel.
Okay. You heard the entire agreement placed on the record here.
Yes, I did, Aaron.
Did you understand the agreement placed on the record?
Yes, I do.
And do you want to enter into that agreement and be bound by that agreement?
Yes, I do.
And you're not being threatened, forced, or coerced to enter into that agreement?
No.
And you understand that you have the ability to continue forward with this evidentiary hearing. However, it would be ultimately up to the judge, and you could do the same or something similar. You could do better or you could do worse. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
And notwithstanding that, you want to enter into this agreement and be bound by the agreement placed on the record?
Yes, please.
And you understand that you cannot go back in time and say, wait a second, I want to undo that. You understand that?
Correct. Yes.
May it please the court.
Okay, Ms. Reed, if you would inquire of your client.
Ori, can you hear me?
Yes,
Did you hear the agreement that Mr. Bartel placed on the record?
yes,
Do you understand that agreement?
yes,
Is that your understanding of the full and complete agreement regarding all issues today?
yes,
And you understand that we are on day 2 in an evidentiary hearing in this matter, and you have a right to continue in this evidentiary hearing, and you could do better, you could do worse, you can do substantially similar to this agreement.
yes,
And understanding that you are wanting to enter into this agreement and be bound by it.
yes,
And you understand that, like Mr. Bartel said, there's no takesy-backsies once this order is entered.
yes,
You had no ample opportunity to discuss this agreement with me.
yes,
Is anyone coercing you or threatening you into coming to an agreement today?
no,
Do you have any questions for me?
no,
If it pleases the court.
Thank you, and thank you all. I guess I'll inquire of Miss Morgan. Miss Morgan, is there anything you have to say in this matter?
No, I just want them to get along until I can go home.
Okay, well, it sounds like we're taking the first and maybe a second or multiple steps to doing that. So everybody's to be commended for that. And the only thing I'll ask, I guess, Mr. Bartel, that you would prepare the appropriate order and get it submitted to Miss Reed for her signature and then to the court.
I'll do that. Thank you, Your
Okay.
Honor.
Thank you all. You're free to go and have a wonderful day.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. You too.